Let's talk about graphics cards. Again, hi, it's me. I occasionally dip into this space and tell you what I think. I give you the overall outlook. We've got a huge graphics card analysis. I'll link below if you want to check that out. If you want to look at value, you'll have to change the eBay prices. I'm sure prices have changed just a bit between the last video and today, which is January 11th. But I do think that it's worth taking a snapshot in time here and just reflecting and talking about some of the pros and cons of buying used if you are feeling trapped any sort of way. And then that's not really your fault. Look, we've been saying that the sweet spot for buying was going to be somewhere around September, October of last year. Newsflash, that window, at least for new cards, no longer exists. There might be a few options still in the lower end of the graphics card chain that you could look at, 3060s, for example, 3060 Ti's, even 3050s. I feel like that's where the real value is. You just have to be careful, because if your goal is to not buy a mining card, holy cow, is it a minefield out there? No pun intended. Stay with me. Introducing Kioxia's new XG8 series NVMe SSDs featuring 5th generation Bix Flash 3D TLC memory and PCIe 4.0 compatibility. With capacities up to 4 terabytes and support for optional security features like TCG Pyrite and Opal, Kioxia drives are perfect for your next desktop, server, or workstation. Sequential reads and writes reach up to 7,000 and 5,800 megabytes per second respectively and are suited for ultra-fast program, OS, and VM load times, bundled with peace of mind warranties and at affordable price points. Kioxia's comprehensive PCIe 4 SSD portfolio continues to grow, with products offered for a wide range of applications. Check them out, including their new XG8 drives, by clicking the link below. I want to kick things off right away with a small appetizer, just a taste of what's to come in this video, because I've got to say, again, a bit disappointed here and a bit shell-shocked that the market is, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, the market's reacting the way that it is in the higher end areas of like the 3090 and 4070 Ti and whatnot. So when the 4070 Ti was announced, I don't think anyone was surprised. I mean, this is basically the rebranded 4080 that NVIDIA caught hold of very quickly when they kind of sort of teased it being a 4080 12 gig, and we're like, hey, hold on, that's not actually a 4080. That's a very stripped down 4080 if it is one, and the price you're asking is ridiculous. So they took it off the shelves again, or well, they just pulled it. They basically delayed the launch and then rebranded it and then gave it a tiny little price cut. But the price for a 70 series card in the $700-800 range is a bit ridiculous. And that's, I think, the tough pill people are having to swallow. When you compare it to, say, an RTX 3090, I mean, all benchmarks I've seen look pretty sweet. I don't have a 4070 Ti. I've never sent samples for cards like this from really anybody at launch. I mean, I'm lucky if I get one 2-3 months after. I only have one 4080, and that's it. I have no other card. I don't have a 4090. Yeah, it is what it is. So I have to work with the benchmarks of others. That's why I don't have my own data. Don't crucify me. Anyway, I looked at 3090s here on eBay because I'm thinking, okay, well, if I want 4070 Ti performance, but I don't want to spend $800 on a 70 series card, I'll just buy a used 3090. Should be a decent discount, right? And then I come across ads like this. I mean, like, what is this crap? $950 here for a single 3090. This dude's clearly flaunting several of them. 100% a miner. He even admits it later on in the description. I'll show you. But this isn't a discount. You openly confess that these have been mined with, and you're literally trying to sell them for what we could have bought these for 2 or 3 months ago. That's the problem. So here's the deal. If you had bought a card back when we told you to around the end of Q3 2022, not July 2022, but later in that year, just before the holiday season, that was when prices had bottomed out. We expected this. Again, our projections showed that we were monitoring 64 different groups of graphics cards on eBay for well over a year, and what we were seeing suggested that they were going to continue to fall. They did do that. They did spike back up again in the holidays, and when NVIDIA announced 40 series stuff and people were shell-shocked by the prices, Ampere shot back up in price, especially the higher end cards that were competing with the 4080 and 4090. And now we're at a situation where if you want to buy a brand new 3090 Ti, well, that price is gonna shock you a bit. I don't really know why on earth these cards are priced the way they are. Again, it doesn't really make sense given what we know about the 4070 Ti, which this competes directly with. I can't make much sense of it. Why on earth would you spend $2,200 to buy a 3090 Ti? I'm not sure if these are just out of stock and retailers are just jack the price up. Nobody will spend that. The few that we have left, they might slowly dwindle away, but it's not a big deal. Maybe that's what's going on. But if anyone is seriously considering buying a 3090 Ti in early 2023 for over $2,000, please just walk away from your computer, your phone. Just do not hurt your wallet like that. The 4070 Ti, as much as I hate the price of that card and the 70 series card, is just a way better deal. And for that matter, check out 3080 Ti's. Now, I was never a huge fan of this because it was launched around the time that cards were extremely expensive, if I recall correctly. So they might have been ripe for a few weeks in, September, October timeframe, but now $1,530, what is that? Even this card here, I mean, you might think, okay, compared to these other listings, $899 seems like a pretty sweet deal. I don't know what, Paladin? Paladin? I don't even know what brand that is. I mean, if you wanted to entertain this card, sure, you might think it's a decent deal. But again, when seen in the context of the cheapest, most affordable Ada Lovelace card released to date, the 4070 Ti, this is an awful deal. Yet they're still being listed for this, and apparently people are buying them. Not too many here, but 4 suckers, more or less. But anyway, back to this eBay listing for a second, just to get the point across. If I had $1,000 burning a hole in my pocket and I missed the time to buy in late 2022, this is definitely not what I would entertain. I mean, not only are these used cards, but they've openly been mined with, and $1,000 each for them is just not, it's just not doing it for me. I mean, look, the sell, you can see I've been like shopping for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There you go. The description here is, I mean, to be fair to the seller, very blunt, very open about the fact that these are mined with. I mean, you can't take a picture of 12 cards and not confess to mining. I mean, unless you're like trying to flip them. There are people buying pallets of them earlier this year, earlier in 2022 and even 2021. That was probably the one notable exception on eBay, but most people who have just bulks of the same card probably bought them to mine with. He says he purchased them on average for $3,150 each. That's a lot of money. I gotta do a bit of math here. Let's see. $3,150. Let's just say $3,000 each. That's a ton of money for each card. When you buy 12 of them, that's a car. That's a pretty nice car. $36,000 car. Anyway, I don't know why my frame rate looks a little weird sometimes. Sometimes I look a little choppy. You'll be okay. The condition, to be completely honest with you, is not the same because you did mine with them. And while I'm not against buying a mining card, there definitely needs to be a decent discount there if you're going to openly admit that they were mined with. And, I mean, are we just supposed to trust that you only mined with them for 2 months? These are 3090s. They've been out for a good while. You might have bought these around the time that they were officially launched and then mined with them for 2 years. Who really knows? Let's see. There have to be decent deals out there. We've got maybe 3080s we can find for decent prices. So let's see. Our first listing here, $615. This is a pre-owned card. It's just a stock photo taken from online. A Zotac 3080 Trinity OC in white, a beautiful looking card, but $825. That does not whet my palate, my friend, because again, 4070 Ti's are significantly better than this. Well, not significantly better, but they are a decent chunk of performance better. That didn't really come out right. You know what I mean? They're slightly better cards than this, so I don't think the price is really justified. This being a used card as well, definitely not justified. $700. I mean, we're getting there. This only has 38 minutes left on, actually. That's, that price isn't terrible. Right, $560-ish. Okay, here you go. Here's a colorful 3080 10 gig for $550. Were these other ones 12 gigs? These are also 10 gigs. There's like nothing special about these. But some people are wanting, $800-900 for them, and some people are being a bit more reasonable, like this gentleman here. Unless this thing is DOA or just defective, which it doesn't say it's sold for parts. This is more like it. I don't feel as bad about it, 3080s now. $570 for this is not terrible. That's an EVGA card too. RIP EVGA and their NVIDIA collab, but I totally understand why they would feel the need to do such a thing. It's just unfortunate that it comes to that. Yeah, you got, it's kind of a wash here. There's a lot of cards that are just too expensive. This one's brand new for $1,000, but still, again, don't spend $1,000 on this when you could spend arguably less than this on a 4070 Ti and get more performance out of it. There's just this, I don't understand what's going through people's minds here. Is there like some sort of cult following around Ampere just to spite NVIDIA because they know that NVIDIA can't make any money off of this sale? Ooh, that could be it. Maybe people are just feeding off of the greedy aura that NVIDIA exudes currently with Ada Lovelace. Maybe they see NVIDIA as this greedy corporation and they're taking advantage of the consumers, so why can't I do that as the private seller as well? If nobody wants to buy 40 series stuff, maybe there's a ton of demand for 30 series stuff. And it's like, okay, maybe I jack my prices up just a tad. Can I blame them? Honestly, no. It's just the nature of capitalism. You can love it or hate it all you want. The fact is, that's what we're subjected to. And you can't hate the player or the game in this case. I mean, I guess you could hate both if you really wanted, but that's not going to get us anywhere. What I will say is that the lower end cards, if you're in the market for something around the $200 price range or below, this is still looking really ripe. And that's the one saving grace here. I know that folks who are looking for really powerful cards are feeling let down right now. And that's, again, you missed the window. It is what it is. If you weren't in the market 2 or 3, 4 months ago to buy a card, and now you are, and it's nobody's fault, really, I don't see how NVIDIA can sustain these prices. I really don't, especially with the economy contracting and the the Fed funds rates rising and interest rates rising across the board. The cost of freaking milk in the grocery store is just, everything is going way up in price, it seems like. I mean, gas went up in price for a good bit. That started coming back down again. That's good. But there's a lot that is going up, and I think that's going to start squeezing the savings, that discretionary spending that folks had a few months ago. With the COVID pandemic and how much more money has been printed and how much more money is in circulation, objectively, folks had more money to spend back then. And so as that money starts to dry up, the things that are kind of, in the back of your mind, maybe I'll buy this, those things start to disappear. You're not thinking about buying $1,000 graphics cards anymore. You're thinking about, okay, how do I parse this and that to make like this paycheck really stretch through the week, right? And that's what happens in recessions. And I think, if a recession doesn't happen in the next 6 to 12 months, whatever does come in 2 to 3 years will be way worse. It's already going to be really bad. It's going to be bad. But the longer we delay the inevitable here, and look, I'm not advocating for a recession. I'm just telling you, based on my experience and understanding of markets, what I've learned in school, it doesn't end well, no matter how you try to slice it. And the longer you wait, the worse it will get. And so the longer NVIDIA refuses to lower higher end prices, I think not only does that hurt the consumer, but it will hurt NVIDIA. It will hurt companies that were banking on these cards actually selling. Maybe they were expecting the money situation to remain constant through 2022 and 2023. When in reality, with how quickly the Fed has raised rates, and that has a pretty profound effect on the economy across the board. It's not just like banks, overnight lending rates and things. This is everything from mortgages to auto loans. People, think about the number of people who are upside down in their auto loans right now. How many people paid over MSRP for a car that is now worth half of that? You are literally upside down. What happens if you get in a car wreck? What happens if you, need to sell the car for some emergency and you can't even get yourself out of the loan that you took for that vehicle because you're just that underwater in it. You're that upside down in it. It's going to get scary. I'm not trying to fearmonger at the end of this one, but it's definitely, those are the primary reasons why I don't think that the prices higher up can really be, they just can't last. Something's not adding up here. The graphics card market is just reacting very oddly right now, and for that reason, I suggest waiting if you are, again, in the ballpark around $1,000 or so. It's just not a lot of stuff that I'm really excited about up there. Now, before we wrap this one up, consider learning more about Corsair's Xeneon Flex OLED gaming monitor, designed to be bendable by the user from flat to a curve of 800R. At 45 inches with its 21:9 aspect, it's sure to impress, providing immersion when you need it and inclusivity when others also want to watch. The baked-in LG OLED technology is best in class with its 240Hz refresh rate, incredible HDR and contrast, and extremely fast graded response time of just 30 microseconds or 0.03 milliseconds. Coupled with NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync premium certs, you've got yourself one heck of a gaming monitor. Learn more about the Corsair Xeneon Flex 45WQHD240 by clicking the link below. With that, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this entire ordeal. Very interested to read some of your thoughts down there. I usually tend to check out the comments for the first hour or so, and then after that it kind of gets a little messy. But your viewership, especially the views that stack up in the first hour, so that's it means a lot. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. So leave that feedback down there. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Yeah, it sucks that we're in this again. It feels like we're just in this again. But the difference is now we aren't subjected to the same market constraints that we were back then, back in 2020, when we had, you know, the COVID lockdowns, the restrictions of factories shutting down, so the supply constraints there, but also the cryptocurrency surge, the scalpers trying to jump in and take advantage as well of the limited supply. It's just those market conditions just don't exist anymore. At this point, people are just willing to resort to, well, it's just NVIDIA being greedy, it's just AMD being greedy, they're both reacting to each other, we need more competition. I mean, yes, I do think that's obviously a part of it. Every company out there that's non-profit, or excuse me, every for-profit company, and even some non-profits I would even lump in there, they're out there to make money, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, and if you're a publicly listed company, your interest is your shareholders, right? You want to keep them happy because they're funding your company. But I really don't know how much longer this can last. And I would, if, again, I don't have tons of data to back this up, but my hunch is somewhere in the realm of 3 to 6 months. Something has to give. I don't know what that's going to be, but there's no way that prices can stay propped up like this. I mean, you guys are already letting them know. I love your criticism, how ferocious you guys are with them. I think that it's needed, and hopefully we don't have to do it much longer. That's all for this one. Consider liking again, subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for learning with me.